know we've done some book reviews before, and we both haven't necessarily read this one, but went down a rabbit hole and then directed you to a documentary that was about the author that I came across a while ago, but had no idea about their work. It's really two authors, but we're going to be focusing mostly on a way cooler Phil. His name is Phil Stutz.
Punxsutawney? No, Phil Stutz.
We share a birthday with Punxsutawney, but that's a real Phil thing. Phil Stutz, who is a psychiatrist, an author, and a coach to quite a few of Hollywood's top creatives, but has a super interesting background coming from being a former prison psychiatrist. And what I love about this, not only in the books, but that interview, he is so direct. He's visually oriented, and he's trying to break away from passive talk therapy. Like I myself haven't done, besides hypnotherapy, I've never sat down with a therapist yet, which this has me maybe reframing it. But what do you think about that topic? I know you've done some research over the last week or so, and I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I have full transparency, never heard of Phil Stutz until you told me about him, which is pretty typical. You throw a book title at me or a name, an author or somebody doing something awesome into the world, and you've well known to you, and then you're like, hey, Steven, check this out. Let's talk about this on the pod. And that's one of the reasons why I love this podcast, man, is like just the continual learning and growth of, what's possible. And that's what's great. But yeah, Phil Stutz. So I listened to that documentary or watched the documentary. It's called Stutz. Jonah Hill is the one that produced it, directed it, and he's a patient of Phil. It's his therapist. And I thought it was just interesting how he was just like, this is the craziest thing in the world to be a patient interviewing my therapist for a movie.
Right.
And, the initial takeaway that I got on how Stutz approaches his therapy sessions with his patients, and you're right, you nailed it on the head, his direct approach. Most therapists are going to sit back and listen and play this neutral game, right? They're going to let their patients solve their own problems whenever that time comes. And Phil was very much like, he did that in the early days and realized that this doesn't work. We're not moving the needle here. We're not making change in our patients' lives by allowing this to happen. In fact, sometimes it can be worse because they never get there in time. And so what he says is, I'm going to create these tools, and I'm going to give you some resources and some things and actions to take right away. We're not going to solve you in a week, but I'm going to give you opportunities to find success, to feel better about yourself in order to move forward. And I thought that was a neat approach. He was far more direct and just feel like, dude, that's stupid. Let's do this instead, right? Like he was very much a partner in trying to make someone feel better about themselves and whatever it is that they're going through or why they're there talking with him.
Absolutely. And he gives examples in the books of really specific scenarios and how his brand spread and how he became so well known was because of that reason, and why he built the tools, because people would come in and give their own diagnosis, saying a lot of times it goes back to childhood trauma. They get the parent dynamic or something that happened in childhood, and they go, keep going deeper, deeper, and then have you diagnose yourself. They had been through that. Instead, it was, okay, we've nailed the problem that you're having right now. Here is one tool. And then he would use visualizations on a card that they could keep to work on that for the next week or however long it was till the next session. And these tools it's so awesome because after going down this rabbit hole, they're on YouTube with the cards and visualizations, and they're less than a minute and a half. And you can learn these and break them in. They're going to take repetition. It's not a silver bullet. We're going to get into that in a second, but really flipped and has a specific brand. There's also a very heavy spiritual tone to a lot of the things that he brings up, which is another polarizing piece of it. But he doesn't seem like a spiritual guy when you look at his direct kind of East Coast delivery, cursing, tastefully.
Yes.
He's just a really unique human being. Also, I haven't got to this yet, but diagnosed with Parkinson's in, I think, 2006-ish, 6 or 16. And he had to put these tools in place for himself after that diagnosis. And the ability to use what he's built is the reason he's still going today. And I think, if anything else, the listeners will be driven toward checking out the documentary after this. Do you want to kick us off by talking about what I think is the most fundamental piece in regard to talking to motivation, chasing success and fulfillment. But you want to kick us off by talking about life force?
Yeah. That was my next thought, actually, when you were talking. It's like, it's a really good segue talking about what his foundation is all about. And yeah, he's spiritual, or he's not super spiritual, because he talks about this triangle, and the life force is kind of like what we talk about, like our North Star, our purpose. What most of his patients come in and they lack direction. They have no idea where to go. And as soon as they know what they're supposed to be doing, they shoot out of a cannon, like at full speed, right? They're like, I'm ready, I'm rolling. And essentially that's human nature. Like if you have a purpose and you have a drive, or you have work to do, you're gonna have this ability to, it's very difficult to be down on yourself, because you're just going and taking action. But he talks about life force, and it's a 3-tiered pyramid. And if you look at a pyramid and you break it down into 3 levels, the base level is your body, and it's your relationship with your own body. And he says that 85% of the problems can be cured when you focus on your body, and you use the term the asset.
And yeah, this is the business athlete stuff.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like,
and this is diet, exercise. He even
sleep.
He says sleep, right? Recovery. If you focus on your body and taking care of that first, 85% of your problems will be gone.
And the way he says that in the documentary is just, well, yeah, it's like 85% of the time that gets them. Then they're able to get to the next levels and to the deep stuff. But keep going. Right. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, when he kind of gave that out, like the visuals do help, and they're very, very simple. I mean, this is like kindergarten drawings. They're not complex at all. And when he talked about that and the body, I was just thinking, I actually had Kimberly watch the documentary with me.
So did Paula watch it with me too.
Did she?
And she loved it.
And I was like, just watch this with me. Uncle Phil has put a project to give us some homework. And so and I was like, holy shit, Kimberly, like this was me 3 years ago when I made that shift to like focus on my health and getting in the gym, and was at the darkest point in my life in terms of mental clarity and health, and I was the heaviest I ever was, and I was just like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden, once I had that identity shift, like everything changed. Like it was just it's insane when you just start putting in the habit to, you can just be walking around the block, throwing on a weight vest, getting in the gym, eating healthy, all that stuff matters. So the relationship with yourself is the first and foremost. Clear that up, get that right, and watch majority of your problems go away. The next one is the middle, which is the relationship with people. And human connection obviously fuels purpose and social aspects. Like human nature is to be around and in community. Most people who are not happy are typically alone, or they're alone because they're not happy, etc. And so it's kind of a vicious cycle. So correcting that relationship with the people around you, if the people around you aren't serving you, lose them. If they are serving you, lean into them. And then the last one is yourself. So the tip of the iceberg is just, it's different than your body. It's yourself, like having the confidence in who you are as a human being in any sort of situation, and just recognizing that you are fully capable of doing anything that you put your mind to. And as cliche as that sounds, it's what he talks about. When you've got it dialed in with your body, you got it dialed in with your relationships, the last step is being happy with yourself just the way you are.
And we're going to talk to some specifics about that, because it's like, great, how do I have a better relationship with myself? That's where the tools come in. So love that. The next piece that hit me and has hit me over the last, I'd say 5 years doing this work and going inward and with what you want, what's holding you back, which is usually yourself, are the 3 constants in life that he nails out. And most people, first of all, just don't want to admit this, is the fact that life comes along with pain, uncertainty, and constant work. These 3 things are always going to be there. And I think I don't have this mindset anymore, but we have that destination of, oh, once I hit this point, it'll be tropical drinks on the beach or retirement, playing golf all day, whatever you think. There are different challenges at every level, which I think everyone listening to this podcast could admit to as they're climbing through life. So pain is the unavoidable part of growth. It's how muscle breaks down and regrows back. Every time you get pushed down upon, you spring forward. It's the bamboo shoot growing out of the dirt. It's painful. Uncertainty is everything around us. Especially right now, we talk about VUCA a lot. And that's the U in VUCA, that uncertainty is what humans dislike because it's scary. We like to know, we love things that are constant. And unfortunately, one of the most constant things is work. We're here to contribute to society, to each other, to ourselves, and doing this internal work is a part of that constant work.
Yeah, those are the big, that he nails it where you're a human being and these things are in your life. They are never going away. You have to wrap your head around that there will be pain, there will be uncertainty, and you will have to work constantly in order to continue to be happy. As contradictory as that sounds, when you can battle through that pain and you can put yourself in challenging situations in the midst of all that difficulty, that's where that happiness comes when you come out on the other side. Because he talks about as you said, it's not the outcome, it's not the pretty picture and all roses and sunshine of the big, the amount of money you have in your bank or the big mansion that you want or whatever it is that you visualize. What did he call it? What do you call it? The snapshot?
Yeah, the snapshot. Yeah.
The snapshot. Everyone has a snapshot of what perfect life will be. And Jonah Hill even nailed it where he's like, I actually achieved that snapshot.
I got my snapshot.
Early. Yeah, pretty young. And then I realized that I got worse and further into depression, realizing that it didn't make me any happier. Like I thought I was going to be golden for the rest of time. And I got to that snapshot and it just didn't. And he talks about it's like, because it's the process, it's the journey, it's the constant work that you're putting in to get there. That's what makes it fun. And that's what makes it the drive and the motivation to keep going. And all at once you hit your snapshot. So that's why we always have to have these levels and perceptions of success and always striving for more. Not in a bad way where you're like never satisfied, but in a way that continues that purpose-driven work.
Absolutely. And he reframes it to more adversity equals more opportunity for expansion. Yes. That's just how it works. And it's back to the nature of growth. And I think at one portion there, he said something that was so awesome about staying grounded and reaching for the stars. Like you are grounded on this earth, you have a role to fill here. You have to work. You're in touch with reality, but you're still reaching for that snapshot, a snapshot. And I just love that combo and had never heard it before. All right. Now we're talking, I want to get to the arch nemesis for us all.
Tell us about Part X.
Part X. And I think everyone's going to know about or have a feeling of what this is. This is the resistance. This is the self-judgment. It's a dark energy that blocks growth because Part X thinks it's keeping you safe. This is a part of the subconscious that we talk about a lot. It's the voice of self-sabotage that drives you toward the things that you dislike most about yourself, which we're going to put a label on in a second here. But it's the judgmental resistance inside all of us, and all of it's different. But we all have it. It's the thing that keeps you from going to the gym or hitting the snooze button or delaying a spreadsheet that you know that is due. It's that Part X because it feels like it's always reminding you of the worst parts of yourself and the worst potential future. Yeah. And all of these tools are basically built as weapons against Part X to get you past it. And that's what the visuals help you.
Yeah, Part X is the voice of impossibility is one of the ways he phrased it. And just like any good story, though, you have to have Part X in order to be alive. Like you have to have that adversity. You have to have that villain in order. Otherwise, there's nothing to overcome and there's nothing left to pursue. And so the way he calls Part X, it's different than your shadow. And your shadow is the person that you used to be that you never want to be again. But it still creeps up in your mind of like, almost I still recognize myself as that person, even though you're not anymore. And that shadow can come back to bite you. But both of those things, your internal enemy, Part X, and then the shadow of who you used to be and who you're cracking the shell out of and almost like reborn in a way, if it's been some time and you've had that identity shift.
Absolutely. And that part of that documentary, which is still blowing my mind to where I'm just getting started with these because I just believe that simplicity is everything. And I have studied the shadow. It's Jungian, Carl Jung threw this out there. But when you start getting your mind around the shadow, it's really hard to figure out which part of you it is. Is it? And we talk about the dark side with Tim Grover.
Yeah.
Similar concept. And he talks about befriending your shadow in the documentary, and Grover talks about befriending your dark side and harnessing it. Same concept. And I was like, gosh, this guy has a way of simplifying these. And he's not even trying to take credit for it. He's trying to make it effective and not push people away that aren't trying to read 12 personal development books to figure out what their shadow is. So I thought that was insane.
Yeah, that was insane. You know what the first thought I had when he Part X was like, remember how I'm sure that this has no ties whatsoever, but the first thought I had is like how Elon bought Twitter and then renamed it X. Like
Yeah,
for some
interesting,
reason, that's
right?
what came to mind. Like, do you think that like had any? I'm sure there's no correlation whatsoever, and I'm almost 99% there is none. But just to rename something, and Elon's got a dark side. Everybody has it, right? Everyone has a part X, things that are going to hold you back or going to weigh you down. Maybe him renaming $1 billion acquisition like that to X was his way of fighting the nemesis of whatever that is.
I find that interesting because my mind started going to, because if you and start reading the books before watching the documentary, it's the enemy, right? And then you think of like Professor X or the X-Men, and it's Roman numeral 10. X marks the spot. There's so many uses for it in our culture, but it's funny how you have to be able to compartmentalize and move that over. But I did not think of the Twitter Elon thing.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's the closest. When you hear something like part X, like what else is X in the world? And I don't know. That was the first one that came to mind.
Let's talk. Go ahead.
I was just going to say there was a YouTube video that went through. So what's the name of the book? You're reading the book.
There are two. So I went kind of backwards. There's three, but the two that I'm read one and I'm halfway through the other is I started with Coming Alive, which is awesome, and I'm going to read it again after I finish the tools, but it led me to the tools and I started looking through that, got the overview, bought it, got halfway through, watched the documentary, and that's where we're at today. So some of the tools I haven't made it to in the book yet. But I think we were going to talk about, which one were you going to jump into next?
The tool I was going to talk about, the tools essentially is like, hey, these are the 5 tools that I've outlined when you are in any sort of valley of despair or depression or whatever, like how you can always come out of these things. Like you're not alone. And so he created these tools. And the first one is the reversal of desire. And basically it's like overcoming the fear and avoidance, because I think the opportunities in front of us are purely there in the things that we're trying to avoid. If we were to just attack those things and not avoid them and go after them, or not procrastinate on them, or not, like go get after it, put in the action, everything that else, the opportunities to get out of this thing are going to be fruitful for you. And so if you're like down, like, oh, I can't do this, I'm avoiding the gym because I'm sad, or I'm avoiding talking to this person because I don't know what they're going to think of me or whatever. It's jumping in on that desire to overcome that. And so basically it's like, bring it on. Like, come on, man. Like, I'm ready to tackle this. And just getting your mind of like, no, I'm saying no to not doing anything, and I'm going to move forward to climb out of the hole that I'm in.
And what I love about it is what we talk about a lot on the podcast is all of these most of them are visualizations, hence the note cards and whatnot. And in this one specifically, and this is my favorite one too, probably because it was the first one in the book, and I'm trying to like work them in and kind of, repetitions on each of them in the beginning. But this one's really simple. You picture the thing you're looking to avoid, visualize it within a dark cloud in front of you. You say, bring on the pain, move into the cloud. Then you say, I love the pain. The pain is growth. It makes me better. You feel yourself moving through the cloud into a bunch of light and energy, which is supposed to represent your life force. And then you immediately take action. There's some Mel Robbins in there, 5-second rule. How quickly can you do that? 30 seconds? And like he says, it's like, we all want these quick fixes. These are going to take repetitions. Like, I started working on my shadow this morning after watching the documentary, my morning meditation. I'm starting it with this desire of reversal for mundane tasks, admin stuff that I tend to avoid. That's my cloud. And I really think these quick little visualizations, not having to sit and meditate for 15, 20 minutes, these are really impressive. And I see why they work for people that are very busy.
Dude, this is like this is like your cold plunge. This is
100%.
like why you do that, right? Like,
100%.
Like I am avoiding this. This is hard. I don't want to do this. And you just do it. You just force yourself to get in the cold and sit there for 2 minutes or a minute or 3 minutes or 5, however long that you can handle. And then you get like, that's the visual. And it's like, okay, how can I attack the hard things in that sense? Like, I'm just going to get in the freaking water. And then it's the freedom on the other side is what you come to know.
The dopamine, the light, the great feeling, and the removal of inflammation, all the above. But again, with that takes a little bit of pain, a lot of discomfort.
So the next one is active love. That's the next tool, is actively giving. It's like the giver's gain mentality, like actively giving love to somebody, giving warmth, empathy, doing something nice, holding the door, a smile, whatever, like forcing yourself to get out of this anger and this frustration and this sadness by doing something positive for someone else, actively seeking that out, and slowly but surely you'll climb out of that sadness that you're in, because you're realizing that your actions, your positive actions, are making a positive impact on others. And so that's the second one, is active love.
And that one, if you, very common in the spiritual community, there's a type of meditation called loving kindness, especially the people that you're at odds with, or like you said, angry at, jealous of. Very difficult to do, but it just works. And if you think about some of the exercises we've done with the men's group, always trying to bring to that heart center, bring to mind people you love the most, the power that comes from that, where it drives you toward mentally and more importantly in your heart, is huge. So that one, loved it. And again, he's not the one that created this. When we operate from love, it's a high vibration emotion. We're more likely to take action. Love, gratitude are his two main ones, and mine as well. They put you in a state of higher vibration where you want to be moving toward that snapshot.
Yeah. Third tool, inner authority. And that is basically telling yourself, like, I am in control here. Like, I am going to tackle this thing. And it's just connecting with your true self. And it's basically not letting external judgment get to you. As hard as that is, I mean, Jonah Hill in the documentary talked about it, like his shadows, him being significantly overweight growing up. And he was getting a lot of, feedback, not great feedback, as he started getting more and more famous. And
even after he lost it. Yeah.
Exactly. Like it wasn't good enough or whatever. And so he had to battle through that inner authority. Like, I am good enough and I don't care what you think, and I am powerful and I can move forward. And so you have to develop this inner authority, because at the end of the day, those people who are judging you have their own battles and their own things, and they're trying to bring you down and make themselves feel good. And it doesn't work that way. And so you have to have this, you got to be able to create this development of inner authority in order to approach the world in a positive way. Do you remember the last two?
Well, I've structured my notes a little differently. Is one the Grateful Flow?
Yes, yeah, that one, and then the last one's Jeopardy.
Which just in the name is perfect for us, and we kind of touched on the gratitude piece. That energy is just ridiculously powerful. It's a cliche for a reason. Simplest thing you can add to your day is bringing to mind 3 things that you're grateful for. It doesn't even have to be 3, 5, whatever you want. But as you're doing this exercise, it's important to not use the same ones each time. Don't use your dog or your house or your spouse each time. Really go through the Rolodex. You realize how much there really is to be grateful for. It really is a superpower. Is radical acceptance the other one?
The last one's Jeopardy.
Jeopardy, which we did refresh on before this, which is, to me, it's memento mori. That's a Stoic tool that he really restructured and combined it. But give the readers a rundown, or unless you want me to take that one.
No, I mean, it's like...
morbid. It's a morbid one.
Yeah, it's not. Who is the guy? It's not Alex Trebek. It's not Jeopardy the show.
Hormozy?
Who is it? Who is the
Hormozy?
guy? No. Hormozy. But basically, Jeopardy is just defeating procrastination and complacency. It's kind of falls in line with a lot of the other tools that we were talking about, but it's recognizing the urgency of time.
The tool is the reason I say it's morbid. Now that we have the listeners hanging on a thread. The visualization is you look at yourself on your deathbed. You're hopefully 100, 90, whatever age you are. And you literally visualize that person when you are hesitating, you're feeling the resistance, and they scream at you. You see yourself screaming at you saying, why didn't you do that thing? And you can use this for small things or big things. But if you really get into that visualization and feel it and you really see yourself in that position, it can be very motivating and snap you out of it.
All right, wrap us up with radical acceptance, you said?
Yes, and I think this is something I've been working on. It was the theme of my year 2 years ago, not necessarily those words, but my framing on it is, what is your relationship with reality? This is very Buddhist Zen, a Buddhist Zen theme. It's like, this is the way things are. Can you control what's in your circle, back to Stoicism? But the reality that you're living in, you had a lot of impact and ownership on why you're in that situation. The external stuff you couldn't change if you wanted to. And even if you did, it's already done. So your radical acceptance of, where do I stand right now? Not the things that I've done in the past, the mistakes that I've made where I didn't show up the best. and not the destination of that snapshot of where I want to be in the future. What is the radical acceptance of where the cards lay right now, and what's my next hand I'm going to play, and how well am I going to?
Well, I think, his work is, I'm really intrigued just getting into it. So thank you for sharing that with me. And obviously a very unique dude, like, just as we said, very direct and straightforward, but very soft spoken. Like, he throws jokes at you. It's very real and authentic. There's no like fluff to it. And like, just like, there's nothing motivational really. Like, it's just very much like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about it that way. I
love that Kim watched it with you. I told Paul last night, we cooked a nice healthy meal and sat there. I didn't plan on it. I'm like, I'd love for you to watch this with me. Almost the same thing. And we just had a really nice night. I was ripping down notes while we listened to it. But I think that's the easiest point of entry for the listeners here. Pick a nice night, make a nice meal with the fam, or if your kids are old enough, because the film, this took them 3 years to make.
That's what was crazy about it. Yeah, it took them 2 years. And then there was a part where Jonah was like, I feel like I've been lying about this, because they were trying to create it as like a one-day session.
Don't give it away. Don't give it away.
All right. Well, it happened in the first 30 minutes. But I think watch the documentary. It's awesome. It's definitely very eye-opening. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's not passive self-help culture. It's very direct. It's just about doing the reps. It's practical. Some closing thoughts. It's just like, the more adversity you have, the more opportunity you're creating. And that's just like freaking Einstein sitting right behind me. In the midst of difficulty lies great opportunity. That's why I love this picture so much. Like, putting yourself in adversarial situations where the status quo is being disrupted, it's going to create those opportunities. And so get out of your comfort zone, put in the action, accept what is, but then take daily action to achieve transformation. So I think it's something we can all learn from. Phil Stutz.
Enjoyed this one, man. We'll be back at you next week, and check out Phil Stutz and that documentary. See you, folks.